Hi, everyone, and welcome to Talk About It Tuesday. I'm Tosca Di Matteo, founder of Tosca Coaching and Consulting. And we're here today to talk about how to activate courage with Shanita. Hello, Liz. Good to see you here. We were just going to jump on a little bit early to talk about courage to make sure all the tech stuff worked out. But I'm excited about this topic because I think so many of us have big dreams, big ambitions, and it's uncomfortable to make new choices towards that when it's uncomfortable. We just want to stay in the comfort zone, and so we need to activate our courage. So Liz, you are definitely one that activates your courage. I'm curious, like what's happening for you these days? What courage are you trying to tap into? What is it that excites you? What do you want to do these days? I love like keeping tabs on you on social and seeing how you're just getting along, you know? So yeah, good to have you here. And my guest today is Coach Shanita, and she's going to talk about how to activate your courage. She did a TEDx talk. Thank you. Thanks. I appreciate that. It's like an act of faith, Liz, to like keep going with this every day. It takes courage every day. I feel like I need this talk today perhaps more than anything, so I'm excited to have her on. And here she is. Hi, Shanita. I'm gonna bring you on. I've just been talking to Liz, and I'm gonna like request you here. Oh, here we go. Let me see if I can. There we go. Invite you. So hopefully, let's see, you should see an invite request. Here, do it again.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. Just putting in my headphones to make sure that you actually continue to hear me.
Yeah, no worries. And you know, we can even just keep her going with this. We don't have to pop off and pop back on even. If you don't want, we could just get it popping.
Yeah, I'm down for getting it popping. Yes, thank you so much for just even holding this space for all the amazing thought leaders that you bring onto this program. It's like the conversations are so key. So it's just so wonderful that you do this every Tuesday. Kudos to you.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much. I'm excited. I was just saying before you jumped on that I think I need this conversation today. I think it's like entrepreneurship is like it's a journey, you know? Uh-oh, did I lose you? Let's see if I lost Shanita here. I think I may have.
Sorry, I got kicked off. I'm here again.
No worries.
Okay.
No worries. Yeah, well, let me I'm going to backtrack and kind of start from the beginning a little bit.
Sounds good.
And hopefully you're a little bit frozen. Hopefully that will unfreeze. You're still there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm Tosca Di Matteo, founder of Tosca Coaching and Consulting, and I've been doing Talk About It Tuesday for over a year actually. And the hope is to bring new concepts, new voices, diverse experience to the forefront so that everyone can just kind of access ideas of leadership, of personal growth and development in ways that maybe I can't touch people's hearts. So with that, I'm really excited to have you on, a fellow coach. We have a mutual friend. And I know that you've been in the grind yourself of finding the courage to for many different things. But I appreciate you taking the time to be on this platform, and I just want to hand it over to you to introduce yourself, to share with us a bit about whatever you want to share about your story, about who you are and kind of what brings you to this moment.
Yes, again, thank you so much for holding space on this platform. It's going to touch so many people's lives. I'm Shanita, and I help people become their most courageous selves.
Mm.
And I'm
And
a work in progress doing it all the time for myself.
I'm sorry to interrupt. You're frozen on my screen. For anybody watching, let me know
Oh,
if Shanita is frozen on your screen. Um, because I don't know if that might be just a simple pop off, pop back in,
mm-hmm.
to try to correct that. But I just love I love this platform because I love people to just like see and engage, you know. Hey Karen, I'm so glad you're here. Let us know if you can, if Shanita is frozen on screen,
Testing,
because
testing. I relocated
I
to
definitely hear
another part
you.
of my bedroom.
We definitely hear you. I just your video is frozen.
Mm.
Um,
Maybe we pop back off, pop on, try that again.
yeah, why don't you, yeah, pop out and pop back in, and hopefully we'll get the animation of your beautiful face.
Okay, okay.
Looks good. Okay, so Karen says looks good. So maybe it was my stuff that I couldn't see. Oh, not frozen. Okay, maybe that was my ish. Okay, sorry about that. Um, I'm glad to know that you guys were able to see her. Sorry for the tech issues. We are in Mercury retrograde, so this, you know, this kind of happens. Okay, so people did see your video. It was just me that wasn't, but now I can. Now you're totally animated. Okay, so sorry about that. I was just, yeah,
No
Mercury
problem.
retrograde. You just
Yeah,
never
I was
know.
gonna say it's all of that. I'm sitting in a different corner of my room, hoping that maybe it's a Wi-Fi thingamajig. Yeah, Mercury in retrograde. I can't. I can't. But yes, I'm sorry if anyone didn't hear me before. I'm Shanita, and I help people become their most courageous selves.
So and let's talk about j like a little bit of who you are and like why courage is like this theme in your life that's become your mission. Like help us understand where in your life you had to be courageous and how early did that start?
It's like I'm laughing because I'm like, huh, I'm not sure where to start. I think, being an overachieving people pleaser,
Mm,
um, it was burning me out. And
mm,
one cold January morning, I was sobbing on the New York City subway on my way to work, and I was like, oh, something's got to give. Like,
mm,
I cannot keep going like this. And I've had many of those big
mm,
aha moments, but that moment was the moment where I was like, I need to do something about it now.
mm,
Otherwise, I'm going to get into some real bad trouble. And I was already in
mm,
trouble. And so I remember getting off the train. I was like, all right, things need to change. And I joined my coaching certification program, but all the while, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be extra courageous, right? I'm going to leave my job. Well, then as soon as I
mm,
decide to leave my job, what happens? I get pregnant with my first child. And as
mm.
soon as I get pregnant, I'm unemployed. Then my husband and I are like, oh, let's put in an offer for a house. And then on top of that, I'm like, oh yeah, and I want to be a life coach and start a coaching business, even though like I'm an arts and humanities kid and like I have no entrepreneurial bone in my body. So
Mm.
all of this major life change, job transition, life transition, having a human grow inside of me, I was just like, this is scary. I don't know what to do. And I need to ask for help. And
Mm.
that was a behavior that I did not have. It just like so many people out there, right? I'll try to take on the burden myself. I don't want to bother anyone. I don't want to ruffle anyone's feathers. I'll try to figure it out. I'll be resourceful and figure it out. And it was coaching that reconnected me to my courage and my power, my strength. Three things I forgot I had because
Mm.
I was so scared trying to check off all the boxes and trying to really
Mm.
um, not piss anybody off. Right? I don't want to make anybody feel some type of way about me. But I never asked myself what I needed in life, and so coaching
Mm.
was a really wonderful transformative modality that finally gave me space to ask that question. What do I need? I need
Mm.
rest. I need clarity. I need courage to get through these major transitions of my life.
And how long ago was that?
Oh, it was 6 years ago.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, so wait, okay, I definitely want to dig into this, but I want to back up a little bit. Where are you in the world? Like,
Yes. New York in the house. I don't know if anybody
yes.
here on the live is on the East Coast. I am born and raised in Queens, New York, but I live in Long Island because we couldn't afford to live in the city anymore because it's crazy expensive. So I live in the burbs. Sorry, I heard that was an incoming call. Um, and so yeah, I'm in New York, and yeah, it's been 6 years since that cold January morning where I was just like, enough is enough is enough. I gotta go.
So can we dig into what led to enough is enough? Like corporate, like life, like like
Hmm.
personal stuff, professional stuff. Like I like to talk about the. I mean, if you don't want to talk about stuff, that's totally cool. But I like to talk about the messy middle of like,
Yes.
we're in this shit, and then you found your courage. But I want to talk about the shit first to
Yes,
set the
let's talk about the shit.
context.
I'm here for all of it. I'm here for all of it. I have the courage to tell
Hmm.
you all about the mess in the middle. And so I was actually working in the nonprofit sector, the education nonprofit sector for over a decade. And so um I when you work in the nonprofit sector, you are in a mission driven organization. And when you're in a mission driven organization, what happens, right? Not only do you wear 50 million hats, but it's already given that you're going to
Mm,
be underpaid and you're going to be overworked because you have to serve the mission, right?
mm,
It's for the kids, it's for the youth, right? It's all about
mm,
like we just need to roll up our sleeves and do the work and hit the goals and make this thing happen. And I'd worked in several different parts of education nonprofit, everything from fundraising to college advising, and I loved it, but it was burning me out. And for
mm,
anybody who works in the nonprofit sector, no matter what industry or what community you serve, you know that you're doing it for the mission, but there sometimes, there's this gap between, man, I'm serving and I'm a public servant, I'm so happy and so fulfilled in this way, but then am I taking care of myself? And
mm,
self-care was still a new concept back then. Like it's not in the vocabulary the way it is nowadays. And so I just remember, working, you know 8 to 10, like, no, 10 hours a day, commuting almost 3 hours a day, and then I was on top of it, I decided I wanted to do professional salsa dancing. So then I was like salsa dancing at night, because I needed an outlet. For me, it was really important for me to make sure that I was being creative and I was also releasing my stress. But there too were some gaps in me not realizing that my body needed rest, right? And so I
mm,
wanted to be Miss Productivity. I wore it like a badge of honor. It was my
mm,
gold star. Look at me. I can
mm,
do all these things. I am so productive. I'm
mm,
getting, gold stars at work. Like everyone's going, go, Shanita, go. And meanwhile, I'm like barely waking up, barely getting it together, sobbing on the subway. Karen, I see that you had the same exact moment, every morning going, what is going on?
mm,
And so there was this huge discrepancy between the way I was serving and the way I was feeling. And it wasn't okay to check in with my feelings. It was actually coaching that brought me to something what I call as a courage metaphor. It's something I talk about in my TEDx talk about how to activate courage. And so I remember being so sad. And then this coach says, tune into your heart. What's there? And then it was a warrior goddess. Her name is Durga Ma, and she's like one of the fiercest warrior goddesses in the land of Hindu goddesses. And she was just like, hey, like, I've got your back. You are more
mm,
than enough, and you are not alone. And meanwhile, I'm ugly crying here going, really? Really? There's an energy inside of me that's a goddess that's here with me. I didn't know, just ugly crying completely. I think I ugly cried every day for
mm,
months, if not the whole year. And it was her guidance, and it was her that made me realize, wow, I have courage inside of me. Like all I have to do is just activate it. All I have to do is get in touch with it and build a relationship with it. And
mm,
this energy inside of me, this wisdom within, can actually guide me to
mm,
making better decisions for my life. Okay, I'll try it, because clearly whatever I was doing was not working.
mm. Wow, yeah. It makes me wonder. I think, so many people get into that. that sadness, the depression, the ugly cry, and they don't know how to get out of it, right? So when was the moment when you were like, I got to do something differently? Because I think that's part of what people go through, right? Is they just don't know how to do one thing differently to help domino effect, like
Mm-hmm.
life change. So was it that moment? Was it like that cry, something different about that cry in January? Like what was it that
Mm-hmm.
where you said, oh shit, I can't keep going like this?
Yeah, that's a really great question because, right, how many cries do you need? What's the one
Right.
cry that it's going to take,
Mm,
right, for you to actually move the needle? And so
mm,
for me, I think physically at some point, if anyone can relate to this, you like cry so much that you can't cry anymore, right? Like you don't have
mm,
any more energy in your body to be sad about the thing, right? Fill in the blank, whatever that thing is. So that was part of it, because I think if you're feeling your
mm,
feels, you got to let them out. Like there's no
mm,
way around it.
mm,
You just got to get through it. And I know it's such a cliche, but it's really true.
mm,
So the sadness, the resentment, the anger, the hurt, the holding in, the repressing of all of my stuff, I had to let that stuff out. There
mm,
was no way to healing if I didn't let it all out. So I think letting go of any shame or guilt or self criticism and judgment around that was the first
mm,
part. And then the second part about that was, again, like I actually had to connect with life coaches. And luckily, through my coaching certification program, that's what I did every single week. We had peer coaches and master coaches supporting us, who working through our stuff. And the one question, if anyone walks away from this today, the one question that they left me with to help with that turning point is, what do you need?
mm,
What do you need? And I was very foreign to that concept because
mm,
culturally, that's not something I learned. I saw my single mom do it all. Nobody ever asked her what she needed. And so that question was a really great way for me to check in with myself and go, what the heck do I need? Do I need rest? Do I need support? Do I need team players on my team instead of me doing everything myself? Do I need um, relaxation? Do I need adventure? Do I need to get away from here and
mm,
just be by myself? And so that question brings you to your underlying needs. What are your underlying needs? Oh, I want a vacation. Do you really need a vacation, or do you
mm,
really need peace? Do you really need solace? Do you really need relaxation? And so the underlying needs was just one little shift that I started to make. And granted, I couldn't quit my job overnight. Sometimes we just want to escape, and you cannot escape right away. But what you can do is you can at least acknowledge. And if you're acknowledging that, oh my gosh, fear is holding me back from blank, or man, I really need this to feel better, to
mm.
reclaim my time and my energy, then that's what's going to help you make those small shifts over time. Because the transformation, it's not something that happens overnight. I think everybody wants a quick fix, especially in the instant gratification world that we live in. Thank you, social media, for helping us out with that one. Um, and so it's really about the small actions, steps you take over an extended period of time, where you can then call in your courage and say, okay, you know what? Now that I feel better, now I'm ready to write that resignation letter. Now I'm ready
Mm.
to have that difficult conversation with my partner, or whatever it is that might be behind all the tears and the sorrow and the mess.
Yeah, that's like, I love all this kind of counsel. What a great question for people to ask themselves. And, I want to touch on something, that you mentioned about, you know, just not having had the imprint, right, in your life around asking yourself what you need, and I think that there's such a there's just a societal piece of that, and I think in some cultures it's even more like um taboo to ask for support or honor what you need.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um and I'm curious, um what do you think what do you think we need to break those cycles, you know from your perspective, from your experience, like like did you need it modeled, like because I think this, like, how do we stop perpetuating like this idea that we should just do life on our own and not ask for what we need or not give ourselves what we need?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like it's just so ever present.
Yeah, those are all really great questions. And the truth is, I definitely needed exemplars and models, but I
Mm,
didn't have them.
mm,
And so what I realized that the work and that
mm,
started with me and that I had to disrupt the pattern and I had to be the one to be the disruptor. And that was really hard because it's like, I don't even know what I'm doing right now. Am I doing this right? Am I feeling better? Am I really moving the needle? What does success look like? And
mm,
then on top of it, you have buckets of guilt, shame, and criticism going, why are you doing that? Who are you to do that?
mm,
You could be doing something else. Stop it. Stop it. You're going to make them upset. And
mm,
so you have to make peace with the fact that it's going to be really hard. It's going to be really ugly, and it's going to be really nonlinear in the
mm,
beginning. But once you get started, then you will start to build momentum, and then you will have a cadence for, oh, this is what it feels like to feel good. This is what it feels like to voice my truth and not hold this in.
mm,
And you have to practice. And basically, once you disrupt things, then you have to be a demonstration, because guess what? Now you're the model. Now you're the
mm,
exemplar for your girlfriends, for your peers, for your
mm,
colleagues, for your family members. And you never know who's watching. There are times where I get feedback from people who are like, wow, I admire you because I see you doing this, that, and a third. I'm like, what?
mm,
Because in my mind, I'm scratching my head going, oh my God, like, was that post adding value? Oh my gosh, did I
mm.
really, like, did people really take stuff away from that workshop? Like, I'm beating myself up left and right. And then there are people who are like, you're fine. And that's another thing, right? You need to surround yourself around people who are willing to be honest and give you feedback. And people always say that, like, surround yourself with people who are all good vibes. But that ain't easy either, right? Because first of all,
Mm,
some people are trifling. Second of all, you might be working in or collaborating with people in a toxic environment. So then you got to get yourself out of that before you can even create your, like, your grounding group or whatever it is, that your success team is what I like to call it, the team
mm,
of folks, family, friends, peers, who are going to cheer, not just cheer you, want to encourage you and give courage to you, but to really actually keep it real with you and acknowledge you. Because
mm,
when you come from that cultural conditioning where you are not used to acknowledging yourself, yes,
mm,
you do need people who care about you to say you're doing a really good job, because
mm.
you won't do it for yourself until you build the habit and the mindset and the behaviors and the practice to make it normalized, if that makes sense.
Oh man, absolutely. Like I think that there's a slippery slope in terms of the feedback piece, right? Because you've got to have the right people that you're asking that from. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And I think
Mhm.
the danger zone is when we're super vulnerable, if we're asking the wrong people, the people that can't hold the space, the people that can't like honor how freaking difficult the moment is, the situation is, right? Like then it can actually do more harm than good to get input. So like how do you decipher who gets to be the ones that tell Shanita, hey, here's what I think. Do you know what I mean? Like what's the filter?
Absolutely.
What are the filters
Mhm.
that you use for
Mhm.
that?
My intuition and my gut. Our guts are never wrong. And when we are in a toxic work environment or a toxic relationship, it's really hard. Karen says discernment is paramount. Yes, you're absolutely right. But how do we discern when we're in our own stuff? And
Right.
so that's why asking what you need is like part one. It's almost like you got to
Mm,
like clear up and clear out, because with
mm,
all that other stale residual energy from everybody else's crap, you've got to get it out so you could hear better, so you could feel
mm,
better, you could tune in better. Because then when you are ready to ask people to join your success team or to give you feedback, your radar will immediately pick up what's a red flag, who's a red flag,
right.
and who's not. And sometimes we make mistakes. So that's another thing, right? Sometimes you trust people and then they let you down. And I can't tell you how
Mm,
many times over the last 6 years I've collaborated with other groups and people who said they were going to help me, and like they totally didn't follow through, and it
mm,
made me feel some type of way. But I do know for sure that, and you know what, now that I look back, if I really followed my gut, I might
mm,
have already knew that those things wouldn't have worked out. But that's another thing. I was not doing my work all the time. There were times where I was
mm,
like, yeah, I feel so courageous and so woke today. And then there were other days where I was like, well, I'm feeling like I'm really behind on the entrepreneurial game. So I'm just gonna like be desperate and just like throw myself at any opportunity that I can.
Mm,
And when you're new to starting a business, as you know, it's like you're just doing everything you can. No stone must be left unturned, right? And you're just trying to put yourself out there. And maybe this goes for anybody with a new job or a new relationship or a new, whatever it is, fill in the blank. And then you realize, like, holy crap, I've been bypassing my inner work, my asking what I need. And so
mm,
just to come back to what you originally asked, when you're doing your work, your discernment power, your intuitive powers, all of those things end up strengthening so that you know who's not right for you. And then people change, right? So that's another thing. You may say, you know what? You were great for me the first 2 years, but something has changed. You've changed. I've
mm,
changed. And maybe now it's time for us to walk away, close the chapter, whatever you call it, find some closure. Because having that lingering energy in your life is
mm.
not going to be good for you. So that's another thing you have to consider when it comes to the people who are
Mm.
in your sphere.
Yeah, that's some real amen, like knowledge right there. And I
I know that
think
was a
that
lot.
no, I mean it's amazing. Like heart, I'm like, how do I heart like hear myself? No, but like things change, right? And I just want to like pull that out of that, right? Which is like I think sometimes you realize, oh yeah, this person, I'm up leveling, and actually maybe this person isn't coming with me on that. And I think it takes courage to say, no mas, like it's not, it's
Yes.
you're not in my tribe anymore, and that's okay. And I think it takes courage to let relationships go. I mean, I know I've talked about that, a lot of times with this audience. But I think the other piece is, yeah, like the work is constant, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and doing the work on yourself uh, enables you to tap into your intuition and trust, right? Because I think actually a couple of weeks ago I had a talk about it Tuesday about intuition, and you talked about how we have to clear ourselves out so that we know when somebody is projecting onto us, or we know like what is really good for us versus like our ego saying it's good for us versus like our heart space saying it's good for us.
Mm-hmm.
um so I'm
Yes.
curious about your practices, like what are your courage practices, you know what I mean, like
Yes.
how do you um come back to yourself and get back in touch with oh my gosh, say it again, your the
Yeah.
divine
So
goddess.
I was just going to
Ah,
grab a photo of her. I mean, isn't she so
ah,
badass? She's riding a tiger. She's got like 8 or 10
yes.
arms, and then she's got like, the squad of other divine deities around her. And so she appeared. And you know what's hysterical to me? She found me 10 years earlier. This image comes
Mm,
from a postcard I picked up in India when I was studying abroad in college. And I remember thinking like, oh, what a nice picture. I'm gonna pull. Meanwhile,
ah,
she was like, hello, 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 I'm here. But back then, I didn't know what I didn't know. I was just a lost college student just trying to find myself in
mm,
the mother of the motherlands because I'm Guyanese and I'm South Asian descent. So all of that to say that I gotta turn to her. I gotta talk to her. I gotta tune in and activate my courage. And I have a really quick audio exercise for anyone who I know you're going to share all the things, but that's a really helpful way to connect with your courage. Your courage could be a mountain, it could be a
mm,
warrior goddess, it could be your late cousin, like it could be anyone or anything that's got your back and just wants you to know that you're supported. So there's her. And then I also practice Reiki, so I definitely use Reiki as a modality to like help clear out my own energy.
mm,
um, I started doing a better job of setting boundaries. I'm definitely no expert, but setting boundaries meaning like telling my three small children and my husband, hey, I need to go upstairs for an hour and just be. So I'm closing the door. I'm going to go pull out my oracle cards and my angel cards and my ancestor cards. I got a lot of card decks. And
mm,
I'm going to do what I need to do for me. I created a card deck. It's called Little Box of Courage. And so it's also another little tool that I use to give me that boost of courage in those moments of fear. And I know it sounds like a lot, like who has time for all of this? And the truth is, like, you do what feels good for you. I know in the last 6 years, if I don't do what I need to do for myself in the 10 or 15 ways that I do it, like journaling or talking to my courage or the one of the many card decks I have or whatever it is, then like I'm not a nice person. I'm a fearful person. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
I see how my ego comes in and says, why are you spending 5 minutes doing this stuff right now when you could be sending out that email? And I'm like, shut up, ego, shut up. Like, I have to have conversation. Like, I'm constantly talking to myself. So if you saw me in my house, you'd be like, what's going on with Shanita? But it's because I'm constantly saying, stop telling me what to do. I need to listen to what's in here. But that takes practice, and it takes little tools. It takes whatever you need to be scrappy and resourceful to make that happen. So I
Ah,
hope one of those many things that I shared could be helpful to anyone who's listening.
I love that. Well, and health coach Sarah's like, thank you for this amazing live. So
Oh,
I think
thank
there's a
you,
lot of
Sarah.
value that's coming through. And there's a couple things I want to ask about. I definitely want to come back to Reiki because I think there are people out there that don't know what Reiki is. So I definitely want to come back and have you talk about that a little bit. But the other thing I want to talk about is this voice, right? That's like, what? You should be sending another email. What?
Mm-hmm.
You should, right? And um, I think that it's such a practice. It's such a practice to turn that down and turn up the volume on like, what do I need? And like, what do I need to do for myself right now? So especially the type A, the like New York, way of life and all that
Mm-hmm. Yep.
shenanigans. Like, so because I feel your energy, like you're like vibing, you're even in this moment, you're like going and doing, you're like, let's talk about courage. So for you, I'm just curious, yeah, how did you like start to transform from this go do, ignore what your body is telling you need? Like how did you start to shift that for yourself? Because I think there's a lot of people out there that don't even know where to start.
Yeah, I think one effective way was looking back at some of my journal entries and just looking at how miserable I was. I was like, oh my gosh, like I
Mm,
was falling apart. And so there are times where
mm,
I take a little field trip back into the land of my journals just to see like what kind of mess was I in to begin with, and is that the kind of
mm,
mess I want to wake up to every day? So that's one reminder. One, like in real
mm,
time, do I need a reminder about what the old version of me was going through? Another way that's been really effective is
mm,
it's practice. Like you said, it's practice. Even just last night, my guides, my and I've got a lot of them now. Like, there's Durga, but I got a whole platoon. And so they were like, go to bed. Go to bed. You're
mm,
so tired. You've been out all day with your family. Go to bed. So what am I doing in bed? I'm on my phone. I'm
mm,
researching something online that I had no business doing. And then finally I was
mm,
like, okay, okay, okay. I heard you loud and clear. What do I need? My body's like, you need rest. Put your stupid phone down. And
mm,
so it's constant. I can't tell you that,
mm,
oh yeah, I've arrived and now these are my 5 go-tos. Yeah, I've got a bunch of go-tos, but sometimes it's the same thing that I got to do over and over and over again. And not just by the
mm,
day, but by the hour. Like it was 11:30 p.m. and I was like, okay, drill
mm.
sergeant who's in there who keeps telling me that I'm supposed to be productive. It's Monday night. I got to go to sleep. Bye.
Yeah. 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 It's like this. I was having some conversations about like my measurer, right? Like the one who's just measuring everything. Like how long did it take me to make lunch today, or like how long can I take a bath before I feel guilty about taking a bath? And it's just like holy shit, I don't even know how to like stop the measurer part of me sometimes. Like even if I'm like okay, I'm meditating. Is it has it been 5 minutes
Right,
or has it been
right,
like
right,
10? You know what
right,
I
right,
mean?
right, right, right. The time limit kicks in. Well, leaning into joy. Leaning into joy is
Yeah.
a really good remedy. Leaning into joy, because
Mm,
your joy and your happiness, if you're in the middle of jamming to your favorite song or
mm,
dancing or
mhm.
sipping on your favorite pumpkin spice latte or whatever it is you're doing this season, those are some of the things that are going to help you pause and just like get out of your mind that's always
Yeah.
doing and doing. Another thing is like talking to my courage. Sometimes she's like, stop,
Mm.
shut down your laptop right now. And they keep it real with me. So your courage is going to sound different for you depending on who it
Yeah.
is or where it comes from. But my courage, they're very keep it real. They're very much like, stop that right now,
Right.
and they talk to me in a way that I
Mm,
listen,
mm,
because I know she's not playing around. And when I'm rushing my meditation, that's such a good example. Sit
mm.
down, meditate, take some nice deep breaths. I'm like, I gotta go make lunch for the kids. You know?
Yes, and I love this conversation because I feel like when people start to try these things, right, and they're like, "All right, I just got inspired. Shanita was talking about like, her cards, and I'm gonna do what I need and take a bath," and then I think we like people can easily go into judgment about like that wasn't good enough or it's not working. Like I could only meditate for 2 minutes. Like this is crap, but it is I don't know how you see this about courage, but courage is like to me it's like being willing to continue to push through what's uncomfortable, right? And so like how do we, yeah, it's like we have to be kinder to ourselves, more gentle, more forgiving about like we're not going to go all the way to bright. In fact, I don't even know what all the way to bright looks like. And probably not, unless I'm like Buddha number, 2051, what, you know what I mean? Like, probably not going to hit it,
Yeah.
so, so, what tips do you have or counsel, or how have you been able to be kinder to yourself in the journey of kind of figuring it out?
Yeah. Yeah, and figuring it out never ends. Affirmations are really good.
Mm,
And I
mm,
remember like trying to bypass that because I was like, I said my affirmation, but I'm really not feeling it right now. But like there is an
mm,
energy to that. There's a lot of power in being able to say it out loud or see it,
mm.
whether it's on a post-it, a mirror, in your journal. Affirmations are really helpful. Another thing is, let's see.
And actually, can we just pause on affirmations for a
Yeah,
second?
absolutely.
Because I think that, if you're just like scrolling through Instagram, and
That's a
it's
cute
like,
one. I like that one. Heart.
right, right.
Thanks. Yeah.
And so I think there's, it makes me think of like spiritual bypassing, and you're just like, I am a powerful light. I am a powerful light.
Yeah.
It's like, well, how do we really integrate affirmations? Like, how do we really say affirmation, like you're saying, is a tool in the toolbox, right? For being kind to yourself, for getting yourself energetically where you want to be. So, um, I just want to talk a little bit about people that are unfamiliar with using affirmations, like how do you start to even play around with make some levity out of affirmations to help you get through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, Affirmations are so powerful, but you can't rush it. So that's one thing. Like, don't
Mm,
rush it. And I think I'm glad you mentioned like when you see it on Instagram or when you
mhm,
see it on social media. Because what do?
mhm.
Cute affirmation. Next. Next. You haven't even given
Mm,
yourself time to sit with it, to consume
mm,
it, to let the energy of it like get
mm,
digested in your body. And I'm
mm,
so guilty of it. That's why, even though I love like motivational memes, they sort of don't do anything for me anymore. Because if I don't have it
mm,
outside of like Instagram or something I saw on the internet, and if it's not in front of me, if it's not tactile, if I didn't write it myself, if I didn't say it myself, if it didn't come through me some way, somehow, through this vessel that I have, then it doesn't really do anything
mm,
for me. So that's something
mm,
I would invite people to try. Like, let it come through you and
mm.
practice it, right? Because I'm a powerful light. It sounds nice, but if you're not feeling it, it's not doing anything for you.
Right, right.
Another thing is like make up your own, right? Like sometimes all I have to say is, I'm okay. I'm okay right now. I'm okay
Mm,
right now. I'm okay right now. And if I can just say it to myself enough and breathe it in and sit with it and ground myself into that
mm.
energy, that's all I need. I don't need to be a powerful light right now. Right now I just need to be okay. Cause like, yeah, I gotta
Yeah,
feed the baby. I've gotta
yeah.
run and go get my kid from school. Like I sometimes I can't be all that powerful. Like I know I'm a
Mm,
powerful human being, but maybe we'll do that late. Maybe right
mm,
now I just need to have enough fuel in my system because we can't be grounded all the time. It's just impossible, especially if you're super
yeah.
busy and you got a million things on your plate. But just knowing that I've got something short term and
Mhm,
now I've
mhm,
got something long term. Maybe you got get two buckets going, right? You got a little short term thing and your long term thing. That'll really help you out. And also, you mentioned something about the toolkit, which I think is really important.
mm,
The reason why a lot of people fail at self care, myself
mm,
included, is because we keep going back to the tool that's not doing anything for us
mm,
anymore.
mm,
So, like, at some point, affirmations weren't really doing it for me. So then I kind of had to abandon that tool and then go to another toolkit. Like, imagine that you have a box of crayons and, like, all of a sudden, like, your crayon gets really dull or, like, the color doesn't make you happy anymore. What are you going to do? You'll put it back in the box and you'll look in your menu of other
mm,
options and you'll find a different color and you'll color with it and you'll
mm,
see how it lands with you. And so I always invite people to
mm,
really like have the courage to have other tools in your toolkit. So for me, some days it's Reiki, which is energy healing, and some days it's affirmations, and some days it's journaling, and some days it's just straight up having like ugly cry, sobbing, heart to heart conversation with her, or sometimes it's me dancing like nobody's watching, at home with the door locked upstairs. And so, like, think about your crayon
mm,
box, right? Like, what does your toolkit look
mhm.
like? And don't be afraid to just say, you know what, today I'm not feeling that.
Right.
So let me just try something different and see what happens.
Yeah, and you know what? And it may not be convenient, the thing that is calling to us that we need, right? It may not be convenient that what you actually need is a massage today, or it may not be
Right.
convenient, you know?
Might not be feasible
Um,
that day. Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, I love that because I think, the what I'm pulling out of all of this is like just being aware of when things change and shift. And I'm continuing to come back to that question, what do I need right now? What do I need right now? You know? Um, and I do want to go back to Reiki. Okay, so for I just would love for you to kind of explain what Reiki is like for folks who may not be familiar at all with it, or who may have certain perceptions of what it is. So yeah, like how do you kind of explain Reiki to folks?
In a nutshell, energy healing. Like if there's anything that you remember, it's energy healing. And there are many modalities that do that.
Mm-hmm.
Reiki is ancient Japanese, it comes from Japanese culture. And there are descended masters who created this modality, and then it is taught to anyone who wants to learn it. So then it's sort of passed down, and it's passed down onto many generations through many masters, and there are different levels of it, but essentially it's energy healing. Like if there's anything you remember, it's energy healing. Where were the energies? It's your chakras. There are many chakras, but the seven main chakras that start from your crown to the base of your spine, which is your root. These main seven chakras is where most Reiki practitioners you'll see out there are using their hands and they're sending Reiki energy. We call it light, we call it love, we call it infinite energy, source, whatever. The reason why Reiki is really great is because not only is it something that you can do with someone in person with you on a massage table or in person, but you can actually do it. You could send it virtually. So you could do it on yourself. Like I wake up in the morning to give someone an example, like, sorry, that still feels too fuzzy for me. In the morning, I wake up and as long as I don't look at my phone or have to go like scoop up the baby because she's crying and wants to wake up, I'll just lay on my bed and I'll just give myself Reiki in an effort of just giving myself a little bit of calm before the day starts. Because if I don't set the intention to ground myself, to maybe practice gratitude, but to most importantly, like kind of give myself some chill in the morning, then I might not be very nice during the day. And so I'm just keeping it all the way real because I think sometimes we wake up and, you know, if you're in a rush too, it's really difficult to say, oh, I'm going to start my day with yoga. Yeah, that's nice if you start your day with yoga, but there are not a lot of folks who are able to do that at the top of the day, right? So Reiki is one of those things I could kind of do kind of in my bed without anybody bothering me. Um, and it's something that I also share with my clients as well. And
Mm-hmm.
so, giving Reiki to others has been really integral in their own healing and clearing up and clearing out, because we get
Mm-hmm.
energy stuck in our chakras. They get stuck all over the place, right? And it's almost like a vacuum cleaner. Just like need to suck out
Mm.
some of that stuff or let it out, move it out, breathe it out. However it is you need to get it out. You need to get it out of there so that you feel good, right? And then
Yeah.
you can continue asking yourself, what do I need? You can continue activating your courage. You can continue doing the things that fuel you.
Yeah, and I think the way that I think about it, as kind of, again, to kind of help people with the concept of energy healing, it's like when you listen to your favorite song, right? And those vibrations are like lifting your spirits, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
like it's moving through you. Their sound is vibration, right? So I think of Reiki as it's a vibration, right? You can't see it, you can't hear it, but it's a vibration that is moving through your body in service of you. I mean, does that make sense to you? Like, is that a fair way of kind of assessing, or no? Like,
I think that it's sending kind of healing light and love into your body so that your vibration can change. So I'm not necessarily
mm,
like sending my vibration. I'm sending something, right? Energy is energy. Those energy waves are definitely going
mm,
through you, but I think that the goal is that
mm.
at the end of it, your energy
You're
and
doing it
your
right. Like,
vibration,
you're doing the
yes.
work like it's right. It's not you're projecting some kind of energy you think that I
Mm-hmm.
need. It's just
Right,
like
right.
you're being a channel to say, hey, I'm sending you some goodness, and your body
Infinite light and
will
love
know
from up
what to
there.
your body will know
Yeah.
what to do with it, kind of a thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. We call it, infinite light source. Like there's infinite light
Mhm.
up there. And so we're just serving as a vessel or a channel for that so that, you can. So if your heart is really hurting and you're really sad
Mm.
and heartbroken, right? I can send Reiki to your heart and help unblock that chakra and help you heal a little bit, right? And
Mhm.
of course,
Mhm.
the healing continues on your part, right? With your toolkit and your toolbox, but it's just one of many modalities that give you a little boost, that give you a little help.
Yeah.
And I apologize because I don't have the proper Reiki definition in my mind right
No,
now.
no, this is
Normally,
perfect.
I'd be able
Mm-mm.
to kind of communicate it a little bit better, but yeah, it's
No,
just
this is
something that
perfect. Hmm.
used to be very Eastern based, and now Reiki is something that's it's practiced all over the world. So I think folks who are on the Western side of the world
Yeah.
um, are more we're being more exposed to it now than maybe we were before.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate you just sharing what's top of mind for you with this. And it's, you know, again, it's just the idea of, like, I think when people start to crack open, right? And they're like, I need to do something different, or I need to, like, I'm just stuck, I don't know what to do. Like, I have no doubt that we're dropping this seed of, like, what's Reiki? Like, if it calls to you, maybe you'll investigate, maybe you'll reach out, to Shanita and be like, hey, like,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing. And again, like, there's an infinite number of ways to kind of describe things, and the way that you're saying it and the way that I'm talking about it, we're gonna hit we're gonna hit somebody where it resonates. So that's what matters to me, is that we're just we're just being ourselves, communicating, and that's enough. And we don't need a fucking textbook.
Absolutely. You need to see other people be demonstrations, right? It's really
Yeah.
powerful to see other women of color who are having this conversation and going, I'm not perfect, but here's what I've tried. This is what I continue to try. Here's where I fail. And here's why I'll keep going because this matters, because I matter.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just, I think that's another big reason why I'm so excited to have you on. I think because I think that we need everybody doing this kind of work in every kind of, identity, because I think it's so important that people can work with people that they identify with, that know like their challenges, and I think it's really hard um, to even do this work because it's hard to get the work because it's a lot of the concepts are hard to explain. Like, what is coaching? Like, what is
Yeah.
Reiki? Like, and then, from an economic standpoint, you have to be in a position to like build your business, whether you're doing it on the side or you quit your thing to start this other thing. And we're not set up for everybody, to have equal opportunity to explore what's in their heart to do. So I just, I say this to say that I just want to honor, like, I'm just so grateful that you're here doing the work, that you found your courage to like step into it. And I would love, like, if you have any thoughts about other people who want to step into this work, you know, um, and there may be scarcity mindset. There may be, how am I going to freaking do it? I mean, you were quitting your job, you had a baby, all the you bought a house all at the same time, and somehow you made it work, right? So and I'm not saying it's possible for everybody in the moment that they want to do it, but how do we like how do we help folks who want to get into doing this work that feels like they don't even know where to start?
Yeah, or that it feels too daunting or even
Yeah.
impossible. And I love that you mentioned, like where we come from, because context is really important. Like, I am of Indo-Guyanese heritage. My ancestors were indentured servants. And so there are legacies of sacrifice that are inherent to my own background. And I know for so many people, especially. And when you come from legacies of sacrifice, what do? You sacrifice yourself
Mm,
because that's what your mother did and your grandmother did and your aunties did and your great grandmother did because that's what they had to do to survive. And
mm,
so we are always, I think so many of us, especially even if you come from an immigrant background and you're living in the States, right? What do? You roll up your sleeves and you do everything you have to do just to make things work. And that comes from needing to survive, right? Needing to
mm,
be safe. And when you start taking care of yourself and checking in with yourself and trying to move the needle on some of those kind of more major shifts in your life, what does that mean? It means you kind of have to teeter on, this doesn't feel super stable and safe right
mm,
now. And transitioning your mindset into coming from a place of honoring what you need, but also doing something a little different. It requires a little bit of unconventional practice until it becomes conventional, until it becomes
mm,
comfortable. But the truth is, it's just not going to feel 100% comfortable. Because as long as you continue to level up and do what honors you, it's going to continue to piss somebody off or break convention, or it's going to go against the grain some way, somehow, against something that you grew up with that somebody told you, no, 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 that's not what you do. You don't want
mm,
to ever
mm,
do that. And so being first generation American, I have that as well inside of me. And so to your question, like, how do you even, especially if you don't come from a background where investing in yourself, investing time or resources or energy or money into your own self is normalized, where do you start? You start with asking what you need. You
mm,
start with tuning into your courage. And so that courage activation exercise is really important because when you connect with the courage within inside of you, it's going to tell you what you need to do. I
mm,
like to think of it as a compass or a North Star. Like when I was sobbing on the subway, when I was, pregnant, I remember her saying, like, keep going, keep going. This
mm,
coaching thing is something that you need to do.
mm,
And I was like, thinking to myself, like, are you out of your mind? Like, I have a baby on the way. I got to go find me another
mm,
full-time job, but like we got to move. Like, how am I going to pay this mortgage? And all I kept saying was how and why. I didn't know the how and the why. And I needed to know because I
mm,
was a project manager, type A person. And she was just like, you got to trust. And
mm,
so, she happens to be a deity, but the courage within you, it's within you. So it's removed from
mm,
anything religious or faith-based or whatever. It's just that energy
mm,
inside of you that says, no, this is the thing you need to do. And maybe you don't know the how right now, but there's a deep level of trust and faith that you must practice in
mm,
order for you to get there. And that's what I had to do. I was like, all right, well, if you said so, sure. And then the minute I trusted, it was like,
Mm,
oh yeah, that wasn't that bad. Oh, I did that. Oh,
yeah.
okay, great. Like I tried that and I didn't die, right? Like
Yeah.
what's the worst that can happen? That's another great question to ask yourself when you're in the middle of fear, right?
Mm,
What's the worst that can happen if I try this one thing? No one's saying go make like leaps and bounds right now. It's just like, let's just try to take 5 minutes to breathe today. And let's see
right.
where that gets me. All right, then we'll try again tomorrow. And so it's not about perfection, it's about progress, and it's about making sure that you give yourself permission to listen to your courage and not just totally self-doubt yourself all the time about
Mm,
it. So,
mm.
I don't know. It's easier said than done.
Yeah, no, but I think it's so important for people to hear this and to hear it from people who like do the work that are like, right, okay, like if you can do it, Shanita,
Yeah.
like I can do it, And Liz is like, I totally relate to the immigrant mentality, which it just makes me think, right,
Thank you,
like
Liz. Yeah.
that we all come from some lineage, right? Like and even in our own lifetime, right, there's conditioning, right? Like, and I've talked about it before, right? Like my grandfather went through the Great Depression, and those messages of scarcity and all that stuff, right, just gets passed down, whether it's just with what's said or whether it's just literally at the cellular level, right? But that we inherit ways of thinking, we inherit um, mindsets and taboos and all this stuff. And so what I'm hearing you say in the crux of all of this about what is courage, like what I'm hearing is courage is listening to your own truth and doing the work in order to really know what that is.
Yes, there's a wonderful that's it. There's a
Mm.
wonderful healer. She works with crystals, and I've done a lot of, and I work with crystals. That's another modality that I dabble in to support me with my courage and my self-care. And Karen Fraser says that courage is connecting with your truth to walk your spirit's path.
Mm.
There's a better, I forgot the exact definition, I have it written down somewhere, but I really like that because the actual definition of courage is the mental and moral strength to persevere through difficulty, danger.
Mm.
And so I think a lot of the time, right? Like, I can't quit my job now, danger. I can't leave that
Mm.
boyfriend now,
Mm.
danger, right? Like, we're talking about stability and security. But when you when you reframe that all together and you think about what it means to walk your spirit's path and what your truth actually means, doesn't it feel different, right? It takes all the pressure off. And it's like, oh, I'm connecting with my truth and walking my
Mm.
spirit's path. Sure, that seems a lot easier and a lot less
Yes.
daunting than I have to withstand danger now.
Well, also, and what it brings up for me, right, is this notion that I think there's a lot of people that are very courageous and also not giving themselves the credit for their courage, which I think is a shame because if we can honor the courage that we have, and maybe it comes more naturally, or maybe we're not seeing it that way, or whatever it is, but that if we allow ourselves to really see it as courage, what more can we possibly do because we're giving ourselves that acknowledgement, you know?
Yes, acknowledgement is key. You
Mm-hmm.
have to acknowledge, and what I like to call my membership community, celebrate the wins, the
Mm-hmm.
small wins and the big wins. Did I make dinner today? Yeah, that's a win. That's a win
Right.
when I got three small children and, 50 emails to send. And yes, that's a win. And so that acknowledgement is really key. We don't
Yeah.
celebrate things until the major milestone happens.
Right.
But then what happens? Then you're in this holding cell. Then you're in this like pending waiting of, oh, I'm never going to get where I need to go until I do that thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the entire stretch between where you started and that thing feels really long, feels really miserable, feels really arduous. And I know for me, I like to go down Compare Despair Avenue. So then on top of it, I'm beating myself up. I'm not being kind to myself because she got there and she got there, she got there, and I didn't get there
Yeah.
yet. What is going on? And so the courage that I practice is all about like the courage to celebrate and not just
Mm.
practice gratitude. There's a little bit of a difference. I can be thankful for having my health and my strength and my family and all of these things, but to acknowledge the win that I was able to wake up this morning and take care of these people and take care of
Mm-hmm.
myself. That's powerful. That's different. It's a little bit different. So I think practicing gratitude is always something that can kind of change your energy and your mood, but then celebrating what you did and how far you've come, even in the last 3 hours, is just as powerful. And it's definitely a mood booster and a game changer for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think every time I go down like despair road and, truth be told, like I was there about an hour ago, I have to
Oh,
come back to like, what have I done? Like reminding myself, like, oh, like this happened and that happened and I did that and I
you
pushed through
organized this
this.
conversation.
I
You
organized this.
created a platform for people to come here every week and touch at least one person's life in some really meaningful way. The conversations that you hold every Tuesday, I bet those have helped so many people. And maybe you didn't hear from them, but maybe they shifted one behavior or one mindset. They did one thing different that day that really helped them feel good and feel courageous and feel better.
Oh, well, thank you. And it's, it's I get such joy out of having these conversations and it serves me as much as it serves my audience. And hopefully also serves the folks that are able to share their truth and share their message like you. And I would love for you to share where people can get in touch with you to talk about what services do you provide? How can they get in touch? And I wanted to ask about the little box of courage.
Yes, the
Yeah,
little
so like,
box.
yes,
Yes.
please talk about that. Oh yes, going to walk with my spirits. Oh,
That's
you
so
can
beautiful,
find them.
Liz.
Yes, Liz, you can find them. Just be patient. It may not be in the moment that you want to connect, but hang in there.
Oh,
They're
one thing I
there.
would say though, the more you talk to your courage and connect with your courage, the quicker reaction time. So that was the thing,
Mm-hmm.
like channeling her at first took a bit, and then like now, the minute I
It's
have like a
okay.
thought, yeah, boom, boom, boom. Don't do that. Do that. What are you doing? Like she's there.
I love that. Yeah, the consistency with it. It's like building a relationship. It's like building any relationship, right? Like continue to build the relationship and it will be accessed easier and easier. Love that. All right, so tell
Yes.
me, tell me about the courage box and how
Yes.
people can get in
Yes.
touch.
CoachShanita.com. My website has all the things. There's a little tab that says Courage Card, so definitely click on that. It'll show a wait list, but that is the best way that I can get in touch with folks. Right now, I'm just shipping US based, so I'm sorry if there's anybody who's international who's tuning in right now. But this is a really cute toolkit that I created to support you, to give you those moments of courage with some of the interactive techniques and affirmations and the things that have definitely supported me, things that I've tried and learned through the coaching work that I've done with folks for the last 6 years. I do one-on-one coaching, which integrates Reiki. So there's some folks out there who they do just Reiki or they do just coaching. For me, I do a little bit of both because the coaching work that I do is also healing.
Mhm.
And yeah, I do workshops. So if you feel like your group or your organization could use support or your team could use support and be a little more courageous, I'm here to serve. And then the TEDx talk that I did, How to Activate Courage, that's got the exercise that will help take you in there and figure out what is that energy within me that's got my back and knows that I'm not alone.
Yes, I love that. I am just wishing the very best for your business to be exactly what you want it to
Thank
be, to
you.
serve you in the way that you want it to serve you as you serve humanity.
Thank you so
Um,
much.
you're so welcome. And is there anything else that you feel called to share as we wrap up? Any message that you feel like we didn't get to touch on that you wanted people to hear?
We touched on so many things. I think um, just take some time to activate your courage today. Just start there to figure out what does that look like. On my website, you'll see I got a little audio download with the exercise, and it doesn't take that long. I think a lot of the time we get scared of, oh no, I don't want to do anything. It's going to take a long time. And no, take the time for yourself today. Download the exercise. Get in touch with your courage. What is it trying to tell you? And then
Mhm.
take it from there.
Love it. Thank you so much. Um, it's such a pleasure to have you on, and I look forward to us having more interactions and
Yes.
conversations. Yeah, like I'm down for that. I know you're taking some breaks. I know like you got, but I'm here for it whenever you're ready. I loved this conversation and your just transparency and truth about your journey. It's just so amazing. And I look forward to more conversations.
Thank you so much for again for having this platform, and wishing anyone who tunes in all the best as you stay courageous on your journeys, y'all.
Yes, thanks for tuning in now and after the fact, and we'll see you next week on Talk About It Tuesday.
Awesome, awesome. Take care. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks, Liz.